Interested in doing some shooty in Baldur's Gate 3 early access? Well, so am I. Also, I'm hoping they do what Wizards hasn't yet. Make Rangers good. They said they're trying to rework them, so fingers crossed. Let's go over what we should expect in building our first Ranger. Naturally, if you like what you see here, and by like I mean did not lose the function of any major organ, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. As a reminder, I will be using the Twitch add-on to allow my chat to determine my playthrough, so go down below and hit the follow on my Twitch channel. My Twitter and Discord are there too. Those are used to let you know when I'm live. And just any discussion we'd like to have. Let's get started. As custom demands, let's learn a thing or two about the nature of the D&D Rangers straight from the player's handbook. Ranger, rough and wild-looking, a human stalks alone through the shadows of trees, hunting the orcs he knows are planning to raid on a nearby farm. Clutching a short sword in each hand, he becomes a whirlwind of steel, cutting down one enemy after another. After tumbling away from a cone of freezing air, an elf finds her feet and draws back her bow to loose an arrow at the white dragon, shrugging off the wave of fear that emanates from the dragon like the cold of its breath. She sends one arrow after another to find the gaps between the dragon's thick scales. Holding his hand high, a half-elf whistles to the hawk that circles above him, calling the bird back to his side. Whispering instruction in Elvish, he points to the owlbear he's been tracking and sends the hawk to distract the creature while he readies his bow. Far from the bustle of cities and towns, past the hedges that shelter the most distant farms from the terrors of the wild, amid the dense packed trees of trackless forests and across wide and empty plains, rangers keep their unending watch. Deadly hunters. Warriors of the wilderness, rangers specialized in hunting the monsters that threaten the edges of civilization, humanoid raiders, rampaging beasts, and monstrosities. Terrible giants and deadly dragons. They learn to track their quarry as the predator does, moving stealthily through the wilds and hiding themselves in brush and rubble. Rangers focus their combat training on techniques that are particularly useful against their specific favored foes. Thanks to their familiarity with the wilds, Rangers acquire the ability to cast spells that harness nature's power, much as a druid does. Their spells, like their combat abilities, emphasize speed, stealth, and the hunt. A ranger's talents and abilities are honed with deadly focus on the grim task of protecting their borderlands. Independent adventurers. Though a ranger might make a living as a hunter, a guide, or a tracker, a ranger's true calling is to defend the outskirts of civilization from the ravages of monsters and humanoid hordes that press in from the wild. In some places, rangers gather in secretive orders or join forces with druidic circles. Many rangers, though, are independent almost to a fault, knowing that when a dragon or a band of orcs attacks, a ranger might be the first and possibly the last line of defense. This fierce independence makes rangers well suited to adventuring, since they are accustomed to life far from the comforts of a dry bed and a hot bath. Faced with city-bred adventurers who grouse and whine about the hardships of the wild, rangers respond with a mixture of amusement, frustration, and compassion. But they quickly learn other adventurers who can carry their own weight in a fight against civilization's foes are worth any extra burden. Coddled city folk might not know how to feed themselves or find fresh water in the wild, but they make up for it in other ways. That brought a tear to my eye. As always, I will be going over the subclasses that are available in the current early access from levels 1 to 4. So let's see which ones those are. Looks like, interesting. They chose Hunter and Beastmaster. Ah, those are the only two there are! You don't get it until level 3 either, so I'll go over the universal basics prior to breaking those two down. By the way, I want you to comment below about what class you're going to main in BG3. If you want a ton of homework, let me know what all 4 of your party members will be. I love hearing what comps people want to run. Pushing past that, let's get an idea of how to build one of these rangers. We always do health first, so let's see how that looks for us. Okay, we get a D10 for hit die, not bad. And per the usual, we get to add our Constitution modifier to that. As a reminder, the first level you get your max roll for health, but all other levels may be left up to the roll of the die. When it comes to the primary ability score, you're going to want to choose either Dex or Strength to be your top score. As you'll be proficient in all simple and martial weapons, you'll have a wide variety of weapons to choose from throughout the progress of the game. So if you want to be a finesse-based character that maybe dual wields Dex-based weapons or shooty shoot with your bow in the back, then naturally run Dex. If you want your ranger to dual wield bigger weapons, then start benching and put those points into Strength. Both Strength and Dex will be your proficient saving throws, so you'll be kinda good with one and very good in the other regardless. Next, it would be probably good to use Wisdom as a secondary stat. It's your main spellcasting ability. And here comes one of my favorite parts, choosing what skills you're proficient in, as it allows you to start kind of hashing out the background of your character in D&D. You can choose 3 from this list: Animal Handling, Athletics, Insight, Investigation, Nature, Perception, Stealth, and Survival. Having that Animal Handling, Survival, Nature Ranger is pretty damn classic and is probably going to be one of my main picks. So we now know a little of who we are. So let's get ourselves geared up. At the start, they provide us with an option of scale mail or leather. This kind of goes along with are you Strength or Dex in my book, as scale gives you disadvantage on stealth, whereas leather does not. Also, there is a cap on the benefit your Dex modifier has on scale mail, which is a max of 2. So that really gives you the impression that it's more of a strength-based armor. For weapons, they give you a longbow and arrows outright, then give you the option of first 2 short swords or 2 simple melee weapons. Then lastly, it's the option between a Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack. We'll see what happens with these as we get into the game, if they're actually useful. So starting at level 1, we get to make a few key choices as to what enemies we really hate and what terrain we really like. I can see how favored enemy could easily be implemented in their system, but I'm going to just display Natural Explorer, as I don't think the majority of it will translate. Read it and let me know any ideas as to how they could really implement this. They did release a screenshot I'll put up as well, but no knowledge as to the mechanics of how these are going to function. To sum up favored enemy, you're really knowledgeable about one type of creature, be it undead, beasts, giants, and so on. Picking one of the 13 options will provide you benefits to your survival checks to track them, and to your intelligence checks to recall info about them. Alternatively, you can choose 2 races of humanoids to gain these benefits against. This is probably going to be the way to go in the game, as they have a billion lines of dialogue, so I would imagine most things you interact with will be some sort of humanoid. Not that other creatures can't speak at all, but you know what I mean. The only problem with this is you don't get a damage benefit. It's purely checks. So, you know, if you're trying to recall information or do tracking checks against them in a video game, that also does not translate very well. At level 2, you start to refine what your ranger's fighting style is. Picking one of these 4 will permanently alter the direction you'll want to take them. We have archery, which gives a +2 bonus to attack rolls with ranged weapons. Defense, that gives a +1 to AC as long as you're wearing armor. Dueling gives you a +2 to damage rolls if you have a melee weapon in one hand and nothing else in the other. And finally, 2-weapon fighting allows you to add your ability modifier to the damage at the second attack, be it Dex or Strength. Second level also unlocks the ability to start using spells by providing you 2 first-level spell slots. Alright, let's get into the juicy stuff. At 3rd level, you get Primeval Awareness, that I'll display but brush past very quickly because I don't see, once again, how it can be used unless there's all sorts of fog of war or something. Instead, let's talk about the meat of our characters, picking Hunter or Beastmaster. As per the norm, when leveling up to 4, you'll obtain the same benefit as everyone else, the option to raise 1 ability score by 2, or 2 ability scores by 1. I also believe they'll allow for the 3rd option, which is to pick a feat, which I always suggest taking as it's far more powerful, more fun, and sometimes actually provides an ability score increase with it. So first up we have the Hunter. Emulating the Hunter archetype means accepting your place as a bulwark between civilization and the terrors of the wilderness. As you walk the Hunter's path, you learn specialized techniques for fighting the threats you face, from rampaging ogres and hordes of orcs to towering giants and terrifying dragons. If you thought that was a short summary, just you wait. Actually, maybe you saw the Beastmaster blurb in that image. So let me know in the comments if you saw it beforehand, but don't go back. No, you have to wait. Well, let's break down the 3 options the Hunter gets from Hunter's Prey. First, we have Colossus Slayer. When you hit a creature with your weapon as opposed to a spell, they take an extra D8 damage if they aren't at max health. This can only be done once per turn. Kinda meh if you ask me. Let's see what Giant Killer looks like. So if you're attacked by a large or larger creature, you can use your reaction to attack that creature immediately. And given that you're only going to get 1 reaction per turn, same goes for this. Kinda meh. Let's hope that Hordebreaker will turn this around and be our choice. Okay. Starts off with once on each of your turns. Good. When you make a weapon attack, you can make another attack with that weapon against a different creature as long as it's within 5 feet of the original target and within your range. Jesus Christ, that blows. Okay, they didn't think about the ranger at all. This is why everyone says the fighter is the better archer. This blows. I'm just moving on to Beastmaster. The Beastmaster archetype embodies an extraordinary friendship between the ranger and a special beast. See how much effort they put into that one, guys? What the heck? This is the spec I always want to play but never do. Let's refresh ourselves as to why. At 3rd level, you gain a mouthful of words. Wait, no. Ranger's Companion. I'm just gonna kind of sum this up in caveman talk. Medium beast, 1/4 challenge or lower. They give examples of like a hawk, mastiff, or panther. Panther's kind of cool, okay. I mean, in real life I want a panther, so I might as well get one here. You have to use your attack to have it attack? What the f- God damn, this is terrible! Okay. I want to know what you think about this. LARIAN better do something. I mean, they're really good at this. They better fix this. This is absolute trash, and I'm sorry I made this video, but it had to be done. Sometimes, you know, I don't want you going in there thinking that this is going to be amazing. So if this isn't good, I'm going to say it's not good. But I'm going to make videos once the game comes out to let you know exactly what the options are for each class within the actual game. So stay tuned. But as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Go down below, follow all my stuff, subscribe, do that stuff I always talk about and everyone talks about. You know, 748% of you have not subbed to my channel. So please, we want to bring that down to 738%. So hit that sub button. That would be awesome. All right, thanks, guys. Bye-bye.